If I don't do nothing else, I'm gonna talk that law. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So the jury has been seated for the Trump trial. Is there any other way to call it? The Trump trial. I mean, he a one-man show. It's all about him. So the jury has been seated, and it started off crazy. I'm gonna tell you how it started off crazy. So yesterday, when I did this video, it was about how many people? It was 7 people on the jury that was selected. So this morning, when I turned the TV on, I said, "Okay, we're doing good. We're at 7. We're just trying to get to 12." It went from 7 to 5. Now 5. We lost 2. I'm thinking we're gonna gain, and we lost 2. I'm gonna explain to y'all how that happened. But for those who don't know me, I am a Texas trial attorney going on year number 5. And you see the license behind me, signed by the 9 justices of the Supreme Court and the clerk of court. Yeah. So I want to thank I believe the few subscribers that joined since watching yesterday's video. I believe over 600 people viewed the last video. So that's why I don't really watch the numbers to see when I'm on live. If anybody, pop on. If anybody pop on and have any questions for me personally, feel free to do that. But I will encourage y'all, the people that, come and stop by the channel, like it, subscribe, share it, comment. Tell me what y'all think. If y'all think that my analysis is different from yours, feel free to share it in the comments. When you like the video and subscribe, it really helps the algorithm pick up the video, and more people will be able to see the video and perhaps learn something from it. But I do want to thank the people that have subscribed, watched, commented. I see those things and I do appreciate it. So let's get back to the tea, the real tea. What's the tea? So apparently, the one of the jurors, juror number 2, was a nurse. I think she's a cancer nurse, and she came to court this morning and she said, "I can't do it. Yes, y'all picked me, but I can't do it." Matter of fact, I believe last night she was trying to call the court to tell the court, like, hey, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. The press is leaking my personal information. My friends are calling me. My family is calling me. They say, "Hey, are you on that Trump jury?" So now she's fearing for her safety. And she wanted to get off the jury. And when you want to get off the jury, all you have to do is go to court and say the magic words. And she said the magic words. She said, "I don't believe at this point I can be fair and impartial." When a judge hear that, or the lawyers hear that, I mean, it's done. I mean, there's no way we can rehabilitate you. That means revive you, to save you, to keep you on the jury. Once you say that you can't be fair, you can't be fair. Now, if you was to say something minor like, "Hey, I had a friend and he was charged in a similar case like this," then you can still rehabilitate that juror. Basically, what I mean by that is, if they say, "I got a friend that was charged with something like this," you can say, even though your friend was charged with something like this, can you set that to the side and still be fair in the present case, in the case at hand? And if you get a yes answer on that, then the juror is rehabilitated, and the juror can actually serve on the jury if they're not, struck for cause or by one of the attorneys. Now, the judge granted her wish, juror number 2. He said, "If you can't be fair, you can't be fair. I got to let you go." And he was upset. He told both sides, "Y'all let a good woman walk out of here. Y'all let a good woman walk out of here. She would have been a good member of the jury. But no, the press, you have to leak her information. You had to let everybody know she's an oncology nurse or whatever field she practices in. Y'all described her appearance. And now the judge turned to the media and he said, I want y'all to stop giving out physical descriptions of the jury panel. I want you to stop giving out where people work at. You can say she's a nurse without naming the hospital she work at. I mean, that's fair. Because one thing you want to do is make sure that the jury feels safe and comfortable. Because if the jury doesn't feel safe and comfortable, more than likely you're not going to have a fair trial. And that is a defendant's and defense attorney's worst nightmare, is not receiving a fair trial. And I'm sure some judges and prosecutors would agree. You want it to be fair. If you're going to do it the right way. And then we had another juror. I think his juror was number 4. He was the one that I mentioned. It wasn't even last night. I keep saying yesterday. It wasn't no court Wednesday. This was Tuesday. This was Tuesday's video, Tuesday night. He told the judge that. What did he tell the judge? It wasn't that he couldn't be fair. Oh, he told the judge in the court on his jury questionnaire that he's never been accused or convicted of a crime. And come to find out, supposedly that's not true. He was the juror that said Trump seemed interesting and mysterious. And I was thinking, I was like, hey, how did the prosecutors let this man on the jury? He's saying Trump is mysterious and interesting. I'm thinking, that's a compliment. But today, the juror number 4, he was supposed to be at court. I believe they said at 9 o'clock, and he showed up after 12. Okay, that's strike 1. You can't show up late. You can't show up. I had it was a couple of trials ago. It was a felony trial I did, and we picked the jury, and it was the next day. We were getting ready for opening statements, and when I arrived at court, the judge called the lawyers to the front, and he said, "We have a problem." He said, "We only have 11 jurors here, and we're supposed to have 12 plus the alternates." And I'm like, where's number 12? Well, number 12 called the clerk and said he wasn't coming. He said he was going to work to make some money. Oh, that was funny. That was funny, because before we pick our jury, we ask questions like that. Is it going to be a hardship? Do you have to work? Do you have a family member you have to take care of, a minor child, a grandparent? We ask these questions to avoid situations like that. But he was one of the ones that said, no, none of that applied to him. And he wholeheartedly agreed to be on the jury. So it was just shocking to me the next day that he just said, hey, I'm not coming. And the judge was looking at the lawyers like, so what do y'all want to do? And I do not want to use an alternate unless I really have to. And I explain that later on about the alternates. I was looking at the judge like, we're here now. What can we do? I already knew what we can do, but I wanted the judge to say it. He said, well, at this point, I have no choice but to issue a warrant for juror number 12. And I was like, uh-oh. Now, this can be a problem, because issuing that warrant, even though I expected that to happen, issuing that warrant can give us an advantage, because now the judge, the police, the prosecutors are going to look like the bad guy, because they having this poor juror arrested and brought to court, and they making him be there. And I was like, well, but at the same time, I did not want him to come to court upset and then take it out on my client. So the judge agreed to give him 20 minutes to get there. So they called him back and said, "You got 20 minutes to get here. We're going to come pick you up." And I think he was there in 10. Oh, man. But yeah, sometimes you have jurors that, stuff just happens. And apparently, back to Trump's case, juror number 4, he showed up to court late. Not only did he show up to court late, he had a hidden secret. So apparently in the 90s, he was arrested for destroying or stealing political signs, which is a big deal. I mean, you don't want to sit on a jury of like a political trial like this one is, and you're out there destroying political signs. And not only that, he was destroying political signs of the far right. So in my mind, he was destroying political signs of Republicans. Like, what? And then he wanted to sit on Trump's jury, and you're out there destroying political signs. Juror number 4. Not only that, that was strike 2. Number 1, juror number 4, you showed up to court late. Number 2, you're destroying political signs. But number 3, his wife is allegedly on deferred probation for corruption charges. You can't make this up. Strike 3, juror number 4. So they kicked juror number 4 clean out of the courthouse. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Just get out, and get out right now. So juror number 2 quit on her own, the nurse, and juror number 4 was shown the door. I'll put it like that. For all of the reasons stated above. So we went from 7 jurors to 5. And obviously that's a big deal, because you can't have a trial with 5 jurors. You got to have 12. So they kept working. The judge was like, "Hey, I'm not going to stop." And keep in mind that both sets of attorneys, you get 10 free strikes. If you don't like somebody, you can cross them out. But both sets of attorneys only had 4 each. So I was doing the math like, hey, they only got 4 each. And if they cannot strike the juror for cause, that's like a free strike. If somebody say, "Hey, I can't be fair. I don't like Trump," that's a free strike. That means the court is going to strike them, and the lawyers don't have to use their free strikes. The court will do it for you. But eventually, it's going to come a point in time where the judge is going to stop giving out free strikes. It's going to have to be an extreme case of somebody that's biased before the judge kick them off. Because from my understanding, today around 97 people showed up to court to be picked on the jury, and they asked the jury, like, "Is there anybody here?" The jury panel, "Is there anybody here that can't be fair because he is Donald Trump?" And I believe 56, 57 people raised their hand out of 96. So that means half the jury pool raised their hand and said they don't think they can be fair to Trump. So all of them automatically are dismissed. If you can't be fair, you can't be fair. There's no way to make someone fair or make them change their mind. Because sometimes you can have a bias that you know about, and sometimes you can have an implicit bias instead of an explicit one. Basically, where it means you can have a bias against a certain person without even realizing it yourself. It's just something that's deep rooted inside of you that, hey, I don't like that group of people. I was born to not like that group of people. My grandparents didn't like them. My daddy didn't like them. My mama didn't like them. So I'm taught not to like them. So if you have a bias or something like that, then obviously sitting on a criminal jury trial as a juror member is definitely not for you. But Trump released a statement after he walked out of the courtroom. So supposedly the judge has been trying to gag Trump, trying to take away his First Amendment right. And the prosecutors, they came to court and they said Trump already violated the gag order 3 different times. Overnight, he violated it 7 more times. And they are asking the court, instead of throwing him in jail, because throwing him in jail is going to be pretty much impossible right now with the Secret Service, it's just too hard to throw him in jail. But what the prosecutors are suggesting is to fine him $1,000 every time he violates the gag order. But Trump's lawyers told the judge, like, wait a minute, judge, justice, whatever title you want to go by. Trump was attacked first by his former lawyer. His former lawyer is online talking mess, and Trump is just responding. And the judge was upset. He was like, I don't remember giving Trump an exception to violate my gag order when he feels attacked by someone else. So the judge is basically saying, just because you're attacked by someone else, I didn't give you permission to respond. But Trump took it upon himself to respond. I mean, imagine if somebody's talking about you and talking about you bad. Matter of fact, not only talking about you bad, they was your lawyer at the time. They the one that got you in this mess. He allegedly was the lawyer was the one that told Trump to create all of these paperwork and paper trails when Trump just wanted to give the woman cash. So then the lawyer is going to get online and talk about him. Then he's going to show up to court and testify and tell a whole bunch of lies. I mean, let's be clear. He is a documented liar, Trump's former attorney. He lied to Congress. He lied to the police. He lied to the court. And that's why he went to prison for lying to Congress. So Trump is like, hey, this man is lying on me. My former lawyer is lying on me. You think I'm going to be quiet, judge, because you put a gag order on me? No, I'm going to say what I got to say. If you want to have a fair trial, then nobody should be allowed to talk about anybody while the trial going on. So Trump shouldn't be the only one to have a gag order. If you're going to have a gag order on Trump, if you want to be a fair judge, then you need to have a gag order on the witnesses as well, including his former attorney, because his former attorney shouldn't be allowed to say whatever he wants to say. And then you expect Trump just to sit at home and be quiet when he knows that his former attorney is telling obvious lies. And if I was Trump, I'm going to defend myself as well. So $1,000 to Trump may be a drop in the bucket. So he may willingly pay that $1,000 just to respond to what he perceived to be lies. So if the judge say, hey, every time you violate my gag order, you got to pay $1,000, I'll pay the $1,000. Matter of fact, I'm going to pay you $10,000. I'm going to pay you in advance, because if he get on here and start his lies, my former attorney, I'm going to light him up. Light him up. But Trump came out after court and he still was talking. Trump not worried about none of it. He's still going. And I do believe he has the right to defend himself. I'm going to try to pull up the video of his statements that he made when he walked out of court today. But I think it's fair. I mean, somebody talking about you, I mean, you shouldn't have to go to the judge and ask permission for self-defense. So if someone comes and attack you, I shouldn't have to wait to go to court the next day and say, hey, judge, he attacked me. Should I defend myself in the future? No, I'm going to defend myself now, and then we can deal with it later. Let's see if this video will play. Because you know how this computer is going.
Thank you very much. I wanted to just say that I'm supposed to be in New Hampshire. I'm supposed to be in Georgia. I'm supposed to be in North Carolina, South Carolina. I'm supposed to be in a lot of different places campaigning. But I've been here all day on a trial that really is a very unfair trial. These are all stories. This is over the last few days from legal experts. This is Wall Street Journal editorial. But all of these are stories from legal experts saying how this is not a case. The case is ridiculous. This is another one of the cases, a ridiculous Trump indictment. It's missing fraud, there is no fraud. All of these stories are stories of how, and these are done by the experts and editorials. Bragg falsified business record, and he falsifies them. He's the one. He's the fraud. Take a look at all of these are stories. You see them here. Bragg's indictment even falls as an indictment. All of them. Bragg crosses the Rubicon, indicting Trump on nonsense. The whopping outrage in Trump's indictment. It's a whopping outrage, and it is an outrage. Everybody's outraged by it. You know, we had 18 DA or DA types or clubs, 18 or 19 or 21, they counted all them in and out like that. And in the meantime, we have murders going on right outside in New York. Look at this National Review, another National Review. Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett, Andrew McCarthy. Every one of them saying they call it a zombie case, meaning it is no case. And they say, is it constitutional? They don't think the case is. These are all stories that have taken place over the last few days. Take a look at this. D.A. Bragg wants us to believe that his pursuit of Trump isn't political. Of course it's political. And they're doing it for Biden. They're doing this for Joe Biden. Even the Rolling Stone, no friend of mine, they don't like, it says, they don't like Bragg's chances on this case. That's a disgrace. That's a nice headline. I'd like to read that one too. But every one of them lies about the case. Justice is on trial. You know, the whole world is watching this New York scam.
Not a scam.
The trial spectacle begins. That's Wall Street Journal. It's a spectacle. Every one of these. America is a third world country. Daily Caller. Wow. That's New York Magazine even. All of them. They just came out. These are all, every single one. I haven't seen one that says it's a good trial. It's political. This is a Wall Street Journal editorial. And it's a shame. It's a shame. And I'm sitting here for days now, from morning till night, in that freezing room, freezing. Everybody was freezing in there. And all for this, and this is your result. Look at that, each one of them is a story. And it's very unfair, very bad thing. Very bad thing. The whole world is watching this hoax. You got a DA that's out of control. You have a judge that's highly conflicted. The whole thing is a mess, and you have the leading candidate and leading crooked Joe Biden by a lot. He's the one that should be in trial. He's a crook. You got a crooked president. He should be in trial with all the stuff he's done and his family. He should be in trial, but he's the one in charge. His top people are here, working with the DA's office to make sure everything goes right. But it shouldn't go right because they have no case, and that's what this is all about. And it really is a shame. This country is devolving into a third world country between having no borders, having no justice, we have no justice, and having a press that doesn't want to cover the facts. So thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Oh man, he was not happy. What y'all think? 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 I mean, he got a point. I mean, he printed out the newspaper articles that all these legal professionals and scholars are saying that the DA in New York, he just don't have a case. And it's not because people get it mixed up and twisted. They think that, I lean for Trump one way or the other. No, I'm following the rule of law. I'm looking at the law and what the law says. And I'm applying it to the facts of the Trump case. And right now, it seems as if the DA's office has overcharged Trump. And sometimes when you overcharge an individual, you can lose the whole case. So instead of charging him for the misdemeanors that would still be hard for them to prove, they elevated those misdemeanors to felonies. And by doing that, and now you can lose not only the felony case, now you can lose the misdemeanor, because if they find him not guilty, then all of it goes away. You can't come back and retry him on the lesser included misdemeanor. Once he's found not guilty, then double jeopardy kicks in, all of them go away. And I actually seen a story that was on social media. It was a case of a prosecutor, an overzealous prosecutor that overcharged this girl. She was accused of killing her baby, but the prosecutors overcharged her. They charged her with the wrong crimes, and guess what happened? She was found not guilty. The prosecutors dropped the ball because they wanted to overcharge, and that's the risk they are running with Trump's case. When you overcharge, then you can lose them both, the misdemeanor and the felonies. And that's what happens. You chase two rabbits, you lose them both. But I'm gonna show just a brief clip of the girl that got off with essentially murder. And I think she even confessed to murder. But the judge said that the charge, in following the rule of law, you read the law, read the facts, and then you put them together, following the rule of law, the facts did not go with that charge. And I believe this is the same situation that's going to happen in the Trump case. I'm going to play just a brief snippet of that so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Let's see.
Breaking right now, a verdict just reached in the neglect death of a 2-month-old girl.
The baby's mother, Daisha Lacey, was just found not guilty for neglect of a dependent resulting in death. Our Rich Nye has been covering this trial from the start and brings us the latest now on today's decision. Rich?
Jenny and Dustin, this was a bench trial here that lasted 3 days at the Community Justice Campus. And that means that the judge heard all the evidence, there was no jury, and the judge decides the verdict. And Judge Mark Stoner ruled within the last hour that Daisha Lacey did not commit a criminal act of neglect that resulted in her 2-month-old baby's death. Lacey allegedly admitted in a police interview that she smothered her child while she was high on meth and tired. She allegedly put a pillow on the baby's face to make her stop crying. Lacey's other daughter, who was only 3 at the time, testified that she saw her mom put a pillow on her baby's face, but there was no medical or physical evidence presented at trial to show that the baby was smothered or that she died from suffocation. The judge said that the charges were not appropriate in this case.
Court accordingly enters judgment of not guilty, reluctantly. I do hope that you will take the opportunity to get the counseling that you need, to get the counseling for the children that you need, that you learn from this behavior, and hopefully the rest of the community learns from this behavior, that you cannot go out and party on the weekend and be with children.
Toxicology report did show meth in Daisha Lacey's system, but Judge Mark Stoner said if she had been charged with reckless homicide or involuntary manslaughter, he could have found her guilty, but she's not guilty of neglect of the dependent resulting in death. Daisha Lacey has been in jail for a little over a year since her arrest in this case. She will be free later today.
As y'all see, when you pick the wrong charge or when you overcharge, she get to go home. They can't go back and redo it. They can't go back and say, "Oh, we messed up. We got the wrong charge. We overcharged. So let's go back and no." You get to go home. Double jeopardy. Can't try her again for the same offense. And the same offense is the same fact pattern, the same similar circumstances that happen. So basically, he may say, well, it's not manslaughter. They can go back and charge it with murder, but it's deriving from the same facts. The little girl dying at the hands of her own mother. And that's strange because she even admitted to doing it. She said, hey, I killed her. She was crying. I put a pillow over her. I smothered her. And there was a witness that her other daughter saw her do it. And she still got off. And I just wanted to correlate that with the Trump case because prosecutors got to stay in their lane, stay in the bounds. And I know they're saying that, hey, this is not political. Alvin Bragg, he just want to do the right thing. Boy, stop. This is political. Come on. Because the facts don't even go with the law, not even in the slightest. So what I do tomorrow, because I don't want to keep y'all long, tomorrow I will break down the remainder, jurors that were selected. And I believe on Monday is the beginning of opening statements. And that's going to be, interesting to see the opening statements. And that's if one of the 12 don't drop out, because we got to remember we lost 2 today. Tomorrow something else might happen, or over the weekend, we might lose a few more that say, hey, I just can't do this. I talked to my family. Somebody's following me. Somebody's watching me at my home. I see a news van outside, a weird van outside. I don't want to do this anymore. So right now, outside of the 12, they need 6 alternates and they only have 1. And from my understanding of New York law, the first alternate is automatically moved in case something happens to one of the 12. So you can't just go to the list of 6 and say, hey, I want that one and pick. No, the first one is moved up. And from what I read today, the first one has been selected. They do have that first alternate. So picking that first alternate is as you got to pay close attention to that one as you do the regular 12, because if something happens to one of the 12 and they have to bring in that alternate, you want to know exactly who that person is. And the example I gave earlier with the jury I was working, the case I was on for my client, the alternates just weren't good candidates. So I needed that juror that was missing. I needed him to be in court. So I needed the judge to, get him to court by any means necessary. And he was there, and good thing he was there because my client got to go home. But those other 2 alternates, I didn't get a good vibe from them. So these alternates in Trump's case, you want to make sure that they are legit. I'm sure the lawyers are vetting them. It was one girl, she was almost on the jury today, and they asked her, can you be fair and impartial? She said, yes, I can. And they said, oh, really? They said, read this. So they gave her a paper. It was a social media post that she made back in the day. And she accused Trump of being a sexist and I don't even know if I can say the other word that started with an R. So anyway, she started reading, then she stopped. She said, oh, this doesn't look good. So obviously it doesn't look good. So it don't sound good neither. They excused her. She was almost on the jury, but luckily the defense attorneys are really doing some deep background checks. But apparently they missed juror number 4. That's the only one that they let slip through the cracks. And the prosecutors came to court today and said, hey, just to let y'all know, juror number 4 was arrested for stealing political signs. His wife's on probation for corruption charges, and he showed up to court 3 hours late. So just to let y'all know that about juror number 4, the prosecutors were, they didn't say that to be nice and just give the opponents, Trump and his team, the heads up. They did that because they require by law. Because if Trump is convicted, then and Trump's teams find out that the whole time the prosecutors had that information about juror number 4 and they failed to disclose it, then the whole verdict can be overturned and thrown out of court. And that's why it's important for prosecutors to turn over what you have. And a lot of times prosecutors try to hide the ball. They don't want to turn over what they have. And sometimes as a defense attorney, we don't know what they have. I mean, we know the basics of what we supposed to have, but they may have something else that we don't know about. So a lot of times, like in a YSL trial, the judge gets upset with the defense team, but the defense team really can't be prepared and really can't make an argument when the prosecutors are hiding something that we don't even know about. So it's important for the prosecutors to turn it over. And if you don't turn it over, all your hard work's going to be for nothing. Because if you had it in your possession, you didn't turn it over, you withheld exculpatory evidence or Brady evidence, the verdict is overturned. So we're gonna see. This has been crazy, but we do have a jury. We just need 5 more alternates, which we're probably gonna get tomorrow. And opening statements are going to start on Monday. And right after opening statements, the state, they get to go first because they have the burden of proof of beyond a reasonable doubt. They have to prove each and every element. Since they have the burden, they get to go first. And once opening statements are done, you just start calling witnesses. And I wonder if the lawyer, Trump's former lawyer, is going to be the first witness that the prosecutors intend to call. If that is the case, we're going to see. But Trump is tired of being in court. He's saying that it's freezing in there. And they told the judge, can you at least turn it up? The AC, turn it up 1 degree. The judge said no. If we do it, it might go from 1 degree to 30 degrees, and then it's going to turn into an oven in the courtroom. So Trump has no choice but to freeze or wear a coat. They need to get their system fixed. So maybe Trump needs to get fined. Trump keep getting fined $1,000 so the court can take that money and fix the AC system. I mean, because it seems like if you can't adjust your AC in the courtroom, then obviously something wrong. And they saying that the building is a 1900s building. I don't care if it's an 1800s building. You still got to have your AC and heat correct, so you can have the jurors comfortable as well as the other people in the court. So I will be back on tomorrow so we can just summarize who are the people. If the judge, because the judge, he's really strict. He don't want us to know because juror number 2 was scared off and she quit. So he really don't want us to know who the remaining people are. But we're gonna find out. We always find out. So if y'all have any questions or anything specific y'all want me to cover, just leave it down in the comments below. And if y'all can, just like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And before I go, let me give a disclaimer. So people will come and say, "Hey, I thought he was on YouTube. I thought he was my lawyer. I thought he was giving me legal advice." This is not legal advice. This is commentary. He's on YouTube, TikTok, social media. No, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. I'm just here to talk that law. So I'll see y'all on tomorrow. Thank y'all for stopping in.